painful weeks came to an end after the Commission for University Education withdrew a letter revoking his degree certificate. The Commission Chair, Professor Chacha Nyagoti Chacha, in an affidavit Wednesday, told the court that it's no longer tenable to exercise jurisdiction on the matter since it has withdrawn last Tuesday's letter revoking the degree pending investigations.
This noise you are hearing is political. It's not professional, and I really don't have time to waste there. It's political. It is not professional at all. And by the way, it is important to allow Q to do its work. There is nothing important. If you want to check whether I graduated with a degree in medicine, you pick a phone and call the University of Lagos and see whether I had transcripts there.
Sakaja, who has cried foul on the degree saga, attributing it to political witch hunt, through his lawyers, Elias Mutuma and Associates, filed a contempt of court proceedings against Professor Chacha for disobeying court orders, having held a press conference where he summoned him to explain the authenticity of his degree certificate despite a court order.
I would say that because of all this noise, everybody's degree should now be checked. Everyone.
Yes.
So that we find out if this is actually a problem, because it's becoming a big issue. You can't have a degree in 6 months or 2 years. The minimum is prescribed in terms of hours and units. You can't say that you have 10 units, but each unit is half an hour. That's also fake. So why don't you leave us to do our job properly?
Sakaja was on Monday grilled by the DCI in a session that lasted for 3 hours. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo, for that. Now, the Kenya Human Rights Commission has sued the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission over its decision not to use annual register of voters in the August polls. And according to KHRC, the decision will lock out a lot of voters implemented, or if implemented, as Muthoni Maina reports.
The Kenya Human Rights Commission claims the IEBC decision might block over 2.5 million voters in the election process should the Kenya Integrated Election Management System KIEMS kit fail. The Commission further argues that IEBC has a duty to facilitate and not deny any eligible Kenyan their patriotic right to vote, terming the decision as indictable. The petition is also backed by 6 other civil society organizations, including Katiba Institute, Commission of Jurists, ICJ Kenya, Haki Yetu, Inuka Kenya ni Sisi Limited, Africa Center for Open Governance and Constitution, and Reform Education Consortium. IEBC and its chairperson Wafula Chebukati have been named as respondents in the petition, while Communications Authority and Crown Trust are interested parties. The move comes just 2 days after IEBC announced that the August 9th election will be conducted without a manual voter register.
If you cannot be identified biometrically, then you will be identified alphanumerically. That, to us, answers your question, that you cannot be identified with your biometrics, then you should be able to be identified in the KIEMS kits by alphanumerically.
IEBC has already confirmed that there will be a total of at least 22 million registered voters in the 46,232 polling stations countrywide. Muthoni Maina, TV47.
Azimio presidential candidate Raila Odinga took his charm offensive to Samburu County, where he continued to woo voters ahead of the August polls. Raila has promised the pastoralist community that his government will issue them with a livestock insurance cover to cushion them from drought that continues to ravage the area. Josh Ansari with that.
Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance flag bearer Raila Odinga Wednesday took the Azimio One Kenya Gospel to Samburu County, where he continued to popularize the Azimio Manifesto. While in Samburu and Baragoi areas, Raila promised Samburu residents who are pastoralists that he will ensure they get a livestock insurance cover to cushion the community over losses incurred during drought season.
Kama kuna ukame na sasa nyasi imenyauka yote, tuko na chakula kwa ng'ombe yetu. Sawa sawa? Hiyo sasa itasaidia wafugaji. Tena tunataka kufanya kitu inaitwa bima ya mfugo. Livestock insurance.
Kwa mikono yako ndio wafugaji wako safe. Sisi tuko safe na mkono ya nani? Ya baba na nani? Na mama, kwa sababu ametupa mama akuwe deputy president wetu, Martha Wangare Karua.
Ile vita ambayo imekuwa hapa miaka twende turudi, huyu mzee akichaguliwa hamutasikia vita ya ng'ombe na mbuzi na watu tena.
Raila was accompanied by leaders allied to the coalition, promised to revive the ailing economy if elected president in the August polls.
Tunaleta mpango ambao inaitwa Social Protection Program. Hiyo kama kule Amerika inafanyika, kule Ulaya inafanyika, hata kule Brazil, hata kule Namibia. Jamii hao utapata kutoka serikali kila mwezi shilingi 6,000.
The Azimio brigade condemned their opponents, terming them clueless on matters affecting Kenyans.
Pa Kenya, kila mtu iko na historia yake, si namna hiyo? William Ruto iko na historia yake na baba pia iko na historia yake. Lakini historia ya William Ruto sinajulikana. Si mnajua? Ni historia ya nini? Ni historia ya nini? Sisi tutachagua kiongozi mwaka hii kulingana na historia ya kila mtu.
Wale jamaa, wale watu wa Tanga wanasema baba anadanganya watu, hakuna pesa. Mimi namwambia pilipili Swahila ya kuashani.
Mambo ya William Samoei Ruto yeye anasema hiyo inaitwa hot air. Upepo ule ambao una joto nyingi na hauna chochote ambacho utafanya ndani.
Tutajipanga. Kujipanga ni kusema tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 kura yote itakuwa ni ya nani? Itakuwa ni ya nani?
Tomorrow, Raila will lead Azimio campaigns in Marsabit County. Josh Onsare, TV 47.
Deputy President William Ruto has intensified his presidential campaigns. Their second in command met persons with disability in Nairobi and Kajiado counties, promising to issue them with a scholarship if elected president. Mike Agungu with that.
As clock ticks towards the August 9th polls, Deputy President William Ruto has also moved with speed to secure the votes of the marginalized in his case to clinch the presidency. Early Wednesday, the second-in-command held an economic forum with the people with disability, meant to sign a charter with them, noting that it was wrong for the government to discriminate against such people.
Before we pay salary for those of us who are able-bodied, we will pay for people who are on cash transfer first. Because if there are people who need the money more than us, it is the people who are in the vulnerable space, the orphans, people living with disability, and our old men and women beyond the age of 70.
Ruto insisted that disabled people will want to pay taxes if they have businesses that are doing well, but most of them have no access to credit, business opportunities, or even contracts, and so cannot contribute meaningfully to growing our country.
We are also going to be deliberate on access to jobs by people living with disabilities. We're going to work with the private sector so that we can see how do we encourage the private sector to hire more people living with disability. What tax incentives are we going to work out?
Among the 22 million voters registered to participate in the August 9th polls, people with disabilities constitute 4.7 million, and both Ruto and Odinga are striving to secure their votes.
We should move away from assuming that you are invisible. The society must know that you are there and you're going to make serious contributions, and you're ready to make those contributions to the people of this country and beyond.
You're a PWD, you're a parent of PWD, see what Jackie said. You have a relative who is a PWD. You know that the right government that will be there for you is the one that listens to you. It will be the government of William Samoei Ruto.
Kama kuna hustlers ni watu walemavu. Kwa sababu hata kuingia kwa matatu na huko kwa wheelchair, Your Excellency, lazima utalipa fare mara 3. Utalipa fare yako mwenyewe, utalipia wheelchair fare, na utalipa fare ya yule mwenye ataenda kukusukuma kwa hiyo wheelchair. So hata kama tunaenda kufanya biashara, saa zingine hata kupata faida ni kidogo sana.
Resonates with the 10% of persons with disabilities that constitute the population of this republic. Out of 50 million people, there are 5 million strong people with disabilities. And we want to declare here and now that these 5 million, about 2 million who are voters, they will vote for His Excellency William Samoei Ruto.
DP Ruto has been traversing the country holding town hall meetings with residents as he popularizes his presidential bid.
The 5th, once you get there, I think you should put a policy that any public means should have a way that a person with short stature will be able to get in without being lifted by anyone. We could have somebody on a wheelchair, like they could have like a space they can be pushed in, because I don't know if somebody will talk about that here.
Later on Wednesday, Ruto and his allies wooed voters in Kajiado County, where they assured Kenyans that Kenya Kwanza government will implement all development projects initiated by the Jubilee government.
Kama biashara yako ni kidogo, hata kama wewe ni mama mboga, ama mtu wa bodaboda, ama mtu wa mtumba, mimi nataka uelewe ya kwamba ni jukumu letu kama serikali tukusaidie.
Ni siku chache tu zimebaki. Siku karibu 30, ukiongeza 10 hivi, Uhuru atakuwa ametoka State House.
This as Deputy President William Ruto's scheme to intensify enough baskets of votes from marginalized groups in the country to fill the 50+1 equation, as he intends to occupy the house on the hill. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Ngong Racecourse in Dagoretti South, Nairobi County.
Azimio la Umoja running mate Martha Karua camped in Nanyuki, Laikipia County, where she continued to popularize Raila Odinga's presidential bid as the Kenya Kwanza running mate. Rigathi Gachagua took the Kenya Kwanza gospel to Nakuru County, and this story was produced by Andrew Juma. Azimio running mate Martha Karua today took the Azimio campaigns to Nanyuki, Laikipia County. Addressing Nanyuki residents, Karua said the Azimio government will address all the problems bedeviling Kenyans, among them the high cost of living, water scarcity and unemployment among the youth.
Si ujue ukichagua Azimio, mambo ya fisi itaisha. Kama wewe umelemewa na mambo ya maji, serikali ya Azimio inasema hatuwezi kuwa tunalia njaa mwaka nenda mwaka rudi. Tutarainisha mambo ya kilimo, mambo ya kunyunyusa maji, mambo ya kila kitu, tuone tumejilisha.
It is also the most important election in more than 2 generations. And it is going to define whether Kenya takes off as a wealthy nation or we are led by those who wish to plunder and to steal from us.
So wananchi wa Nyahururu, tuungane wote pamoja, tusonge mbele pamoja na mama na baba.
Karua urged Nanyuki residents to vote for Raila Odinga in the August polls.
Hewa imebadilika. Imebadilika au haijabadilika? Sasa nimekutuma kama balozi. Nyinyi nyote ni mabalozi wa Azimio. Ingia kwa kila nyumba, kwa kila pembe. Ingieni, elezeeni watu ya kwamba serikali ni moja tu inatarajiwa, ile inaweza kuwasaidia.
Elsewhere in the western region, Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula and former Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale
Lashed at Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, urging him to keep off Kenya Kwanza politics.
Wachana na kijana yetu. And I want to tell you for free here and now. Whether you like it or not, Malala will be on the ballot paper of Kakamega. Ingieni katika campaign, tukutane tarehe 9. Mumekuwa kotini Kakamega, Malala amemshinda. Mumempeleka Nairobi, Malala amemshinda. Mimi ningependa kuambia Oparanya, kama wewe ni mwanaume, toka kotini, kuja hapa kwa ground, tumenyane na wewe mwili.
In his response, Oparanya rubbished their claims, accusing Musalia Mudavadi and other Kenya Kwanza leaders of betraying the western region.
These people have let lawyers down, and now they should stop focus on their campaign of Tanga Tanga and leave us alone. The lawyers should support Raila Amolo Odinga. And I know with the Raila Amolo Odinga, lawyers are bound to benefit more. So all of you should support Azimio.
Reporting for TV47, I'm Hemini Gilda Mugeni.
Balozi wa Azimio.
All right, well, it is interesting. You should hear what the gentlemen are telling me. You know, some of these things are pretty much interesting, and especially when we're talking about politics. But the beauty of it all is that, you know, it doesn't matter what side you align to. We all are Kenyans, and these forms of laughter and, you know, some of these interesting comments are the ones that actually keep us together. Remember, it's been that clarion call that above everything, let's make sure that in this electioneering period, we maintain that form of peace. And true to it, for the longest of time, we have heard campaign seasons not always the best. But this time around, I guess the latest case, or the probably much only case that is a bit worrying that has been reported is the Jacaranda case, right from that time when the campaign lines were opened. And so as we get to this conversation, the gentlemen are set. Look forward to engage them on what really Kenyans need to be doing to make sure that there's that, you know, upholding of peace above everything. And that's why in every session we always try to create that balance, in the sense that we have, you know, representatives from different parties to make sure that at least they give us their own views, but above everything, you know, in an amicable way, for us to remind us that, you know, Mr. Politician will always, you know, have his friend as the next politician, and therefore we're not supposed to go out there and fight on their behalf. So joining us for this conversation on my farthest right is Honorable Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Chinga. Thank you so much for creating time as well, defending his seat. And we also have right next to him a Member of Parliament aspirant for Mathare constituency. That is the Secretary General of Labour Party of Kenya. That is Engineer Ruben Liala, seated at the center. And lastly, we have governance expert Peter Mushendu. I do not understand why you're not vying. What happened? Because last time I checked, the conversations were clearly showing us that you will be vying for a certain seat.
You know, I saw a joke the other day, and they were saying if your family does not have a candidate for MCA, there is something wrong.
There's a problem. There's a big problem. But at least you endorsed someone. Is that person part of your family? Because I remember that time we were having the primaries. There's this one candidate that you were supporting that actually carried the day. So is your family?
It's not my family, but you know, vying for people should know it's not a matter of life and death.
That's true.
It's a matter of just calculating. Number one, when I did my calculation, I realized that I am yet to gather enough networks to give me a win.
Okay.
And did not have enough resources to mount a serious campaign. And I don't want to be a statistic that I just vie. When I want to vie and be a serious contender for the Limuru constituency seat. And there is also something that also advised immediately after this general election, we are going to have borders delimitation. And I'm expecting that Limuru is one of the places that is going to benefit.
Yeah.
And my ward, which is the Deya ward, part of Limuru constituency, may end up being joined with some other wards in Kikuyu constituency to form what would be known as Deya ward. The Deya area in large has about 3 wards. one in Limuru that is called the Award, another one that is called Nachu in Kikuyu, and another one that is called the Karai in Kikuyu. If you add the 3 wards, they have 280 square kilometers. That is the size of Kabete constituency times 4. So we are expecting that we will present our case to the IEBC to have Deya made a constituency. And then that would present me with the good network of becoming the first member of parliament for the new constituency. It's about being strategic.
Okay, well, you as is well calculated. Well, it gets us to a point of remembering the BBI and, you know, the elimination of boundaries and adding of more constituencies and all that. But before we even look at that, it's quite an expensive affair. That has been acknowledged by the IEBC, that is to vie for, you know, a certain political seat in the country. Do you suppose that we need to make these adjustments downwards? First, that it has to be about networks, and hugely it has to be about money. What about those ones that have great ideas for the people of Kenya and are not privileged to have this? What happens to them in this scenario? What plays out in this case? And I guess this goes to you, Ruben.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to have some brilliant brothers next to me.
Yeah.
I want to say, actually, if I had met him earlier, I think he would be vying.
You would have pushed him to.
You see, it
goes beyond the money and the network.
Bright citizens in this country, they tend to be more selfish. Yes.
Okay.
And so the sample that we take into leadership in Kenya does not actually depict who we truly are.
Okay.
Yes, and it's because of people like my brother here. Yes, they easily are cowed down.
Right.
Yes, and forget about this notion of privilege. There are no privileges. It's you believing you can bring it. You have substance to put on the table, and you believe in what you need to do for your country.
But Lieli, you've been here when IEBC, was it IEBC, or were doing a research, or, you know, there were statistics that were being presented as to what one would require to vie for a member of parliament position as well as presidential, you know, position. It was clearly hugely about money, and, you know, complaints were here left, right and center that how do you go back to the common mwananchi if you cannot, you know, oil, or if you cannot, you know, butter their bread. And so in this case, how can we say that it's about the confidence? Today, I'd love to represent my people. But where do I begin? How do you go to them? There's a question of tribe. There's a question of what money are you doing? There's a question of what have you been doing to us? And, you know, sometimes you really do not have that opportunity to create that aspect of a track record that would be helpful for one to vie.
I think it's one thing for people to easily take an easier route and have excuses.
Okay.
From left, right, and
okay. Okay.
Yes. If you really want to be a leader, then you must be somebody of character within your ranks, right?
Right.
So even if you, I mean, for all these years that we have lived, do you mean to tell me that there are no people who should be believing in my cause at the moment?
Yeah.
There is this baby sister who is vying in, is it Bomet?
Bomet Women.
Yes, the woman representative.
You think if she was thinking about cash, she would have gone for the seat?
No.
No. It's never about privileges. It's you believing in what you can offer your country, and you go for it. Yes.
All right.
As a Christian...
I hope he just didn't call her a baby.
That's
well, she is young. She is young.
I am older than her,
so
and I refer to her as my baby sister. And if that is offensive, then you really ain't a gentleman. but where I come from, I need to respect her and refer to her in that respect.
Right.
That was all
and
very
having
touch.
said that, I would want to add this. Young people should stop giving excuses.
Right.
Yes. It takes one to do something. Things don't just happen.
But do you realize that there are very many people, and maybe Mheshimiwa, then you come in on this, that have given it a try, and, you know, the disappointment that comes along with, you know, losing. There are people who have had the resources, and they have had the networks. They had built their names before they tried their hand in politics. They got into it, and first round they were flawed. And in this case, this is a person then who decides, I am not going back there in totality. For instance, I have had Dr. Barak. Sometimes we keep questioning him, why have you not presented yourself to represent the people of Kenya, you know, nationally, at your local level? He says, I tried it once, I was flawed. I am not going back there. With all that knowledge, with all that, you know, capability and network and the money, he says, I am not going back there.
I think I want to concur with my friend here that at times you have to brace yourself for whatever the outcome will be. Otherwise, I think, allow me to start by greeting the viewers.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, I represent people down there, and I know they are watching.
Yes.
So let me start by greeting them, and it's a great privilege to be invited here to come and
You know, they
discuss.
used to say greetings are for the Luya people, but nowadays things are changing, so fair enough.
Salamu kwa radio.
Yes, salamu kwa radio, kwa TV, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, after we are done with that, I think I want to concur with my brother here. At times, you have to come out and vie, whatever the repercussions. But I want to agree with my friend Mushedu, you know, logistics. No, a lot of logistics are involved in electioneering.
Yeah.
But then again, we have no reason of failing. Like one of us here have feared, one of the panelists have feared. Now,
Oh, Solomon Kuria was supposed to be here this morning.
He's a coward.
He confirmed 101%. Let's not assume that he
just being cowardly.
Decided to run away from these two gentlemen.
Oh, he's running away. He should have come here.
Why would he?
Those things he likes in social media, he should have come to argue them out here.
Yeah.
Now, what I would want to say is that many great politicians don't start off well just during the first trial. Great names like President Barack Obama, President Kibaki, President Uhuru, and other great politicians in the world, even President Lincoln, they never won at their first attempt.
Right.
I myself, I never won at my first attempt for elective post. You see? The votes were not enough. You don't necessarily lose. It's votes which, you know.
Oh.
They get fewer.
Yes, you perhaps didn't. Kiruga, let me tell you.
No, you see.
There is no number two in politics.
It is either you know.
It is either you won or you fail.
You fail.
But you see, let me tell you, Michelle, something.
Yes, sir.
I've been politically schooled by one of the great politicians in this country, the late Moi Kibaki. May God rest his soul in peace. And what Mzee used to tell us, even if you fight and you don't manage to get elected at that particular time, it doesn't mean your ideas have gone anywhere. No. And it doesn't mean you have necessarily lost. Even if you don't get to that office, when you learn a successful campaign based on ideas, you know, like me, you know, when my votes didn't add up properly, I still went back to the people.
Yeah.
I was working for them and with them without a seat. And they were saying, oh, this is the guy we needed. This is the guy we needed. By the time now they were electing me, oh, they were really earning for me. And the good thing is, I've not disappointed them. So I want to tell my brother Mushedu, next time, he should not come up with those excuses he is coming up with here. He should go down there.
At least not on a TV station.
No, he's my friend.
Let me tell you, Rina.
Yes, my friend.
I am not going to sit here. Now, it is awesome that Kiruga got elected.
Yeah.
And it is good that my brother is still in the race.
Right.
We come from different backgrounds. We have different political demographics that are in our constituency. He's vying in, he has vied and won in Nyeri. I can assure you Nyeri politics is not as hard as Nairobi politics, where my brother is vying.
Yes.
And they are totally different from Kiambu, where I am from Limuru. And therefore, I have assessed the demographics of my constituency. That is Limuru. I've assessed myself
am I going to be as productive as I would want if I vied? That not vying doesn't mean that I am any less qualified than they are.
Right.
I have chosen to take another route. I am a supporter of the deputy president.
Good.
I've taken that time to now go out there and sell the ideologies of the deputy president and what we believe in and in our bottom-up economy. So I mean, this country, Rinda, there is, how many seats are there combined? There are not even 2,000 seats. All political seats in this country combined, they cannot be 2,000. There's about 50 million Kenyans who are in this country. And therefore, we cannot say that getting into leadership is something to be proud about. But not just because some of us have not decided to vie right now, doesn't disqualify us or make us any less qualified. It is just that we have chosen a different route than they have. And therefore, I would tell Keruga Thuku, who is my friend and supporter of the DP, 2 years ago, he was all over about telling us he's vying for their constituency. Somewhere along the way, he did his calculations and decided that he's going to defend his Chinga ward seat.
Yes.
It is because he has calculated his chances of taking Othaya. What are the cost implications of me going the constituency wide? And let us agree, it is not even about that money that you give to voters out there. Even logistics itself, they will tell you, because they are vying. It is costly as it is, especially for someone like him who is vying in Mathare. It is going to be a logistic nightmare if you have not planned yourself. So therefore, I would say, one, I did not cower out. There are so many reasons that made me not vie. One, I used to be an organizing secretary of a political party called Chama cha Kazi. I fell off with the party leader and I resigned my position. I had to evaluate what kind of a brand I had sold out there. Is it worthy for me to start rebranding myself for this particular election? There's so many factors that you consider before you go into vying. And therefore, this time, we allow the removed voters to choose among us those who have offered themselves. I'm still young, I'm not yet 40, so I have that time to organize myself and vie for a position. In fact, I take the coming 5 years to reorganize myself and be part of the productive Kenya Kwanza government that is taking over.
The Kenya Kwanza, there's so much confusion therein, and this confusion is being brought on board by, again, that very party that you were representing at some point in time, and we'd love to know just how much of ramification then it will be presenting to the Kenya Kwanza bid, especially at this very point when you're talking UDA, while there are others that sit therein from different parties.
No, let me
we have to take a short break. We have to let's take a quick short break and then come back on that.
Okay.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku maishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is The Grind. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find.
Center is Ruben Liala, the Secretary General of Labour Party of Kenya, as well as candidate for Mathare constituency. And we also have Honorable Kiruga Thuku, Member of County Assembly of Chinga, as well, defending his seat. And away from this conversation of, what it takes for one to go out there and vie, there's so much that is happening right here in terms of the numbers. And I guess it's the numbers that will dictate a shock on very many people. The youth did not turn out to register as voters as we all expected. 2017 general election was hugely informed by the numerous numbers of youth. But today, 35 and above appear to be the people who are going to make that crucial decision. Is it going to make very many people change tact? And Ruben, this goes to you because many have tried to entice the youth. And I really wanted to have Solomon here so that he could speak on behalf of the youth. They have been moving around with Right Honorable Raila Odinga. He has taken that title of, chair of Azimio Youth. And so does it then mean that there needs to be a quick shift in this about 46 days to go?
I think any reasonable leader in this country would not be careless with how we deal with the youths. The country is actually, the foundation of a country is based on what the youths are prepared for in the future. So I know whichever party coalition is, I know both coalitions are keen to protect the interests of the youth. But I think as opposed to our opponent, we have gone out of our way as Azimio to make sure that the youths feel comfortable. But the youth also should also acknowledge that there is this bit that we are expecting from them, that nothing just happened and excuses do not amount to result.
Right.
Yes, so this is our country. There are those who are before us. There are those who actually paid by their own blood for us to be where we are. It is time that they acknowledge and they get out and do what is patriotically right for the country.
All right, and it's about the numbers. The youth going down, the question of apathy is one thing, and the biggest fear then would be, are we likely to witness apathy, on the very last day, that is on the 9th of August, and even more coming from the mountain that enjoys, or, from these reports, the audit reports by KPMG, the numbers presented to us by the IEBC, Mount Kenya still has a lead.
Yes. Mount Kenya has a lead in the number of registered voters, and I don't know. We are not yet at that stage of concluding that there will be apathy. This is a narrative being peddled by those people who want to influence the turnout in Mount Kenya in a negative way, because they know the deputy president, who is our UDA and Kenya Kwanza presidential candidate, is leading there.
Is he?
Of course he is.
Okay.
Of course.
What
and not only there. No, you see.
Statistics have been out in the recent past, right from the time the campaign lines were opened and after the naming of the running mates. And it appears that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is undoing these gains, and it's fine.
No, statistics from who? In fact, what is happening, the question of when I was coming here, the question in your advert is who will have the last laugh?
Yes.
The person who will have the last laugh, God willing, and giving us the this is the deputy president. Instead to Kenya, that is the candidate to beat. And I'm telling you, this narrative about voter apathy, it's just being created and peddled aloud to discourage people from coming out. But we are telling them there is so much at stake. It is not only the candidacy of our presidential candidate, His Excellency William Ruto, that is at stake. In Central Kenya, we are farmers. Our designated deputy running, the running to the DP, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, has always talked about guaranteed minimum return. It's at stake in this polls. You see, there is so much at stake. So our people, and this is what we are telling them, must come out and vote, because the development for the next 5 years is pegged on their coming out and voting the right leadership, which is the UDA leadership.
All right.
The Kenya Kwanza leadership.
Note that, Mushendi, note that I'm coming back to you, so you can tell us whether then you are contented with the style of campaign of Rigathi Gachagua, who has, had fingers being pointed at him as to his utterances and how he's bringing out or he's packaging the message of Kenya Kwanza. But before then, let's give it to them. And this is based on the numbers that we even see right here, that we have a certain number of registered voters in this particular region. And in terms of making campaigns visits, then say Deputy President William Ruto has, probably across all these key counties or these key regions, has taken the lead in terms of traversing these areas and campaigning. One would argue that he started early, but then again, it counts, all, so to speak. He's been forming charters and everything, not so much so gone out to the public to present his manifesto. Don't you think that this will give him an upper hand?
First, let me start by actually talking to my brother. You know, at the end of the day, as leaders, we need to acknowledge this fact that Kenya is one. Yes. The fact that the majority who come from Central are Kikuyus, it doesn't make them lesser Kenyans who should be owning or might be owning properties in Busia where I come. So when we go to campaign, I think it is time we looked at our country as just a country and let everybody do his business of campaigning. Yeah. If he's speaking to us now and he just that UDA is going to win because some statistics 6 months were reading that they were winning, then you see we are misleading the whole country. We need to be fair and truthful to ourselves as leaders. And it shouldn't, in fact, if there is anything at stake, as opposed to what he's putting across to us now.
Yeah.
What is at stake is actually the character of leadership. Kenya has always had what we need to have. What we don't have is the right leadership. Yes. And you see somebody like their boss, whom I respect very much, but I can tell you, God forbid that he ascends to that seat, at least now.
Okay.
Because for once, this is somebody whom since when he graduated, he has always had it. This is somebody who doesn't know what humility is. To him, winning is his right. I don't know what to say that is wrong. But you see, a leader needs to be backed. Like, say, our president. You test the faults, you get. Like him, he tested the first time.
Yeah.
He tells me he vied, he didn't get it. It humbles yourself, it takes you to God, causes you to reason better.
Okay.
And this is when Ruto need to be taught a lesson.
Right.
This time. So that we are able to have a
Let's allow Peter Mushendo to say something.
Hold your horses.
If you're going to interrupt me, my brother.
Okay, let's allow him to finish his point. Yeah? Let's give him a
Yeah, but even in the assembly, there are points of order. He wants to become a member of the National Assembly. There are points of order there. You cannot mislead the House.
And the speaker then decides. It's okay.
I think
when he was speaking, and
I think Linda,
his analogy probably could be.
Let me tell you.
No, we need.
Let's allow him to
Let me
finish
tell
his
you.
point.
And Mheshimiwa, you have executed your point.
No, it's not for you to determine, my brother.
You know, Mheshimiwa, there is a reason.
Let me handle
why this show has a host.
Yes, Peter.
Who has now given me this opportunity.
Let's make it fair. Let's make it fair. Let's allow him to finish, and then we come to you. Give you ample time to respond to everything that he'll have presented. Let's make it brief, Ruben.
I have seen politicians stand and promise us stadiums in the other election, computers. So it doesn't matter what they are telling me now. It's a matter of us looking into the character.
Okay.
All of us are educated. We are able to put up sky smiling golden manifestos. This we can do, all of us. But who is telling us what?
Okay.
What is his character? We gave him an opportunity. How many times? Are we able to look at what he did with what we gave him? So what is at stake here is the character that we bring into the leadership. Okay. And the king of UAE, Dubai, says it smiling to us. We were far much worse than you people. The difference is our leadership has character.
All right. Peter Mushendo.
You know, when my brother comes here and talks about this nation lacking quality leadership, it is not lost in my mind that if this country lacks leadership, the leader of this country is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And he is the symbol of national unity that is in accordance with our laws. And if this country lacks leadership, he is in fact saying that Uhuru Kenyatta lacks character and lacks leadership.
Okay.
And it is not lost in my mind that Uhuru Kenyatta, who he is describing as a leader who lacks character and leadership traits, is backing Raila Odinga. He is the one who is funding the campaigns of his so-called charactered leader. I mean, you cannot have your cake and eat it. You come and you tell us that this country lacks leadership, it lacks character, and then you sit back there and enjoy the support of the very person you have described as someone who lacks character. Let me tell you, this country, it needs an economic revolution.
Right.
It is not about the issues. Let me tell you, they have failed in bringing something that is conclusive about economy.
Peter Mushendo, you will agree with me that if we are to get the emancipation that we are seeking and that we yearn for economically, we have to have the right people. We have to have people of integrity. Because you see, money matters. And I mean, Mheshimiwa will tell you that even at that level of the county assembly, it's not easy, or at the level of the ward, it's not easy to manage the finances. You know, money, they say, is the root of all evil. And so if you do not get people of character, if you do not get people of integrity, how then will you be guaranteed of getting that emancipation?
And you know, the question is, and this is the thing, what gives them the right to determine the integrity of a person.
Yes.
What gives them that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me tell you.
Okay.
We have done a whole chapter in our constitution on integrity. A whole chapter.
Yeah.
And we have enough rules that goes to prosecute anybody who is found not to be integral.
Yeah.
The character of Deputy President William Ruto, I want to be reminded that time that he was taken to EACC because he stole this, last time he was taken to court because he did this, he did that. Let me tell you, and I keep telling you, we cannot allow such people to make pedestrian and street laws. Every character of a Kenyan who we are putting there is governed by the set of laws that we set for ourselves.
And therefore,
and that
not
is the measure
by the laws
and,
they
yes,
are.
and that is the measure of our integrity in terms of leadership, because that constitution is the one that provides those possessions.
Right.
That constitution provides the qualifications. That constitution provides the limitations of you not vying. It provides the penal. It is where penal codes are derived to prosecute people who are caught with integrity issues.
Okay.
You cannot come here on TV and purport to make your own laws. If you believe that the deputy president is not integral and his integrity is in question, you take it with the law.
All right.
But we will not allow, Linda, I cannot talk for a minute and you allow this.
You have done 3 minutes.
Let me
more
tell
than
you.
4.
Let me tell you.
You have to make it very fast.
We must not allow. We must not allow the likes of my Mathare constituency contender Ruben here to come and make assumptions he cannot actually tell us and substantiate. So he should refrain. Let him sell his candidate. Let him try and look at the weak links of our candidate and share them. But you cannot come here authoritatively and declare someone does not have integrity. You are not the court of law. You are not the prosecutor. You have not taken that person to court. And you dare come here and say that William Ruto is not integral. Please give us a break.
All right, yes. Make it brief so at least we can come. Remember, you're 2 against 1, and therefore
the right to answer.
No, I'm the one who have a right to.
I'm sure he's going to bombshell, and then you're going to respond.
If you say he is
make
one,
it very brief.
It is not our fault that Solomon did not show. And
the issue is this.
Proceed.
Yeah, and I hope you give me an equal chance, just like my 2 colleagues.
Please, because let's be brief to the point, so at least we all get it.
Yeah. So the issue is this, Linda. Yeah. You know, he touched on our presidential candidate, and we have a right of reply. Number one, recently our presidential candidate was in one of the stations, and as he was explaining that even if he were to lose this election, of course which he will not, because we are doing the best we can, and we believe he will win, but he was saying even if he was to lose, he would never lead UDA and Kenya Kwanza supporters in uprooting the railway. Oh, the minute he said that, the station disconnected him. So you see, it shows you.
Let's give it to.
No. Wait. Let me prosecute my case because we were watching anyway. It was live.
Technical hitches.
No, that was not technical.
Right. Okay.
Why didn't they go back to him? So the issue is this. You know, my brother here should be reminded. In fact, once you interact with our deputy president, who is our presidential contender, you realize he rises above very many politicians in this nation. And he is one of the most humble leaders we have in this country. This is a man, you see, who have a track record. Look at the time he was the Minister for Agriculture. We had fertilizer subsidies. We had all manner, of positive vibes going on.
If we were to look at the positive vibes during his reign, equally there were negative vibes, and those ones are the same negative vibes that are getting these people.
Those are negative vibes which are created on
questions. Can't we look at them? If we are to look at the positive vibes, don't you think it would be fair that we do it in equal measures to the negative ones?
No, the thing is this: when we give them an opportunity to bring forth, those things they are claiming, like my brother Moshedo here says, they come out, they say, oh, William Ruto has done this, William Ruto have done that. But when you scrutinize it with the legal lenses, you realize it is all nonsense. Because they cannot prove it. We tell them, if you are serious about what you are saying, William Ruto is here. Take him to court. They can't.
Let's allow Ruben respond to this. You can't, to be honest.
Yeah, but
that's why he's walking
but let them know, among the politicians that we have right now, none of them beats William Ruto in consistency. He is actually the first minister that a president allowed in the presidential ceremonial red-rover. Mzee Kibaki, you know, he never pretended. If he liked you, he liked you. He was so impressed with William Ruto's performance at the Ministry of Agriculture that he actually allowed William Ruto to board the presidential ceremonial red-rover. You see?
Is that the quality of measure?
It's one of them.
Okay.
Bro, I plead with the both of us.
Is it the quality of measure of quality?
I plead with the both of you that it is one thing to win an election, but it's another for us to be leaders who actually are patriotic to our country. So whatever is wrong, let it just be called wrong.
Ruben, can I ask this question? You said, at least for now, he should not be. That is
really wrong.
That is to say that, well, in future, like President Uhuru Kenyatta said, for now, let's give the old man, and then in future, we would look into that. So what will have changed then?
And let me answer to that. You see, far from what my brother is alluding, I am on record stating that since when this country began, I am waiting for somebody to challenge me. We have not had a president like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Is it?
It is true, and I can substantiate
in terms of what? In terms
of
what? Performance?
You see, he's a human being, right. And it's okay for us to have some faults, right? But when we are talking about somebody who's truly delivered, let me challenge my brother. Even you, my brother, in your team, if you have wayward characters, like he has literally run the country alone because the other guy's character conduct is wanting. You get it?
How?
So what I'm saying,
what's the proof of that?
Let's allow him to.
I am very patient when you talk, my brother. Yes. So, to me, where I sit now, we should learn from what has passed. In the last government, we know leaders were exposed. So exposed that they are, like, for example, Nairobi County. See what happened to us. Mike Sonko is not a bad person, but his character was just wanting. Yes, and the government had to do what it had to do to protect the interest of our citizens. So are we going to allow the same to happen to the topmost seat in this country? I mean, we need to be honest to each other and patriotically to the country.
Hence my question, what would change? What would change when we say that in future, perhaps?
As a Christian, I can tell you, God gives us chances. Until that day that he judges us, all of us can change and be better.
Okay.
So nobody should be able to remove that from my deputy president, William Ruto. A time will come. If he's able to truly humble, forget about the camera theatrics. That
you know,
he's perhaps more Christian than you.
No,
exactly.
He could be more Christian, but it is for Jesus Christ to attest.
Linda, let me tell you. Let me tell you, Linda.
I said I am better.
Gentlemen, let's allow him. Let's allow him finish.
No, Linda, let me tell you. I will not sit here. I will not sit here.
We'll allow you to come in.
Regardless of what they say.
You cannot.
I am.
He cannot come here and prescribe what happened.
No. When they speak, I'm quiet.
Let's allow it. Peter Mosheli, let's have some order. We're coming to you.
Linda, we are human.
We are coming to you. But you see, this is what is happening on the ground. And therefore, we have to accommodate every kind of, submission.
Linda, let me tell you. As I said earlier, it is not
Linda, if this debate is this bias, we have two gentlemen. We have two gentlemen from UDA. I keep quiet. They say all the bad that they need to say about me and my candidate.
And then
I am one person.
Not said anything bad.
I am one person.
But you see, at some point, you reminded him that I am.
Who is louder? Are we to be loud?
Okay.
Yes, he needs to have decorum.
Let me tell you, Linda.
No.
Linda, when I came to this show and I've been coming here, you must learn that you are also a panelist like I am.
Right.
And you do not control
But
debate.
I do not
Neither are we
intercept you.
responsible that
I
your
do
perceived
not-
partner
no, I
in
do
your
not intercept
party did not come.
Peter Moshendu, you need to understand also that if it's out of order, I will call him out. I will tell him that you're out of order.
You're not
and
calling
therefore,
him out of order.
but because
Let me tell you.
But just wait for your chance and answer back to me.
This guy is talking about humbleness. Let me remind him. His candidate hold on, Esther. Let me remind him. Your candidate vied in 1997. He did not accept results. Was that a measure of humbleness? Your candidate lost in 2007.
We're coming to that.
He did not accept result. Was that measure of humbleness? Your candidate lost in 2013. He did not accept results. Was that humbleness? Your candidate lost in 2017. He did not accept result. Was that humbleness? On the other side, William Ruto has never vied for the presidency in this country.
And that's the reason why he said...
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. If we are talking about the humbleness of the two presidential candidates, we have measures to take.
We have 4 presidential candidates anyway.
We can give a candidate who has lost 4 elections and has not conceded.
Let's give him 1 minute and then 1 minute to you as we take a break. 1 minute, Ruben.
Thank you, Linda. And my brothers, let's not...
Well, please, when you get, you're given an opportunity.
Allow him.
When he is given an opportunity.
Moshendu, you cannot dictate what he will say. No,
you're giving him an opportunity.
It's fair enough. Proceed.
Please, execute your point without lecturing me. I did not come here for lecture. Let him execute his point without lecturing me.
Ruben.
This is interesting now. Calm down, my brother. With all due respect.
Please,
I am even apologies.
As long as you come to on this,
I am responsible for my personal behavior here.
Yes, but let him stop attacking our candidate.
Proceed.
Okay. To be honest, I have no way to measure the
question of integrity and humility.
The integrity of these candidates. But I am prosecuting my judgment based on my experience in this country. And I want to say honestly, don't you think even the way Raila used to handle his politics and campaign is very different with how he's doing it now? Yes. And I am looking at some enriched experience that is being brought to this campaign of Azimio. And so I'm looking at us as citizens, where would you be safe? Like, honestly, if you look at it. Yes. And so without calling names, because now my brother has barred me from mentioning him, I want to say it is not a competition of who is more humble or the other. I am talking about character. And believe you me, I am convinced beyond any doubt Ruto might be a good presidential candidate, not just now.
Not just now. All right. I don't know what will change. That informs my question. 1 minute, because we have to go for
it. But you know, it had been somehow lost on me that his party is part of the Azimio. Now you understand. Yeah, now I understand.
That's fine.
And you know the mantra in their side is attack Ruto, attack Ruto, attack Ruto at all costs. No, relax. That is it. Because and they don't have any facts of attacking. But that is what the line they have been told. You must attack this person directly. You see? And that is why when William Ruto is leading economic forums throughout this republic, which is what our nation needs, they are there, Ruto. William Ruto came to Nyeri, His Excellency William Ruto, for an economic forum. The farmers were there, the mechanics were there, the mama bogas were there, all the sectors were represented there. We had an agreement, and he even told us, I don't want you to say Ruto was promised 10 years by President Uhuru Kenyatta. No, I've brought myself, I want you to give me a chance of 5 years. Let those 5 years be the ones that will determine if you will add me another 5 years.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting, and that's debatable. We have to take a break.
Just as I finish, if you look at this paper, and you look Mount Kenya, Western, Rift Valley, Coast, Nairobi, Ukambani, It outlines the visit each presidential candidate has made to these regions. It is very clear. William Ruto is the president of Kenya.
Let's take a short break.
Or should he be the president of Kenya?
Let's take a short break and then come back on that very note.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
Trying to bring across to my brother, he has one, I am a partyless person.
Okay.
Let me state,
subscribe to the ideologies of Kenya Kwanza.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
I used to be a member of CCK. By the time I resigned from CCK, the transfer to another party was already, that window was already closed by the Register of Political Parties. But I have been, from the day one that I came here, you have known, I've been a supporter of the Deputy President.
Yes.
I continue to be so, and I will continue to defend. Let me tell you, the art that is being used by my brother in the Azimio, it is to assassinate someone's character and reduce this election into just character.
But such is politics. Character assassination is part and parcel of politics.
It is very sad that they would reduce this election agenda into character smearing and assassination.
But how then what do you do to counter that?
Let me tell you, when we have serious economic issues that we must address in this country, for the last about 1 hour, Keruga, we have not touched to the most important things.
And I mean, we're getting to that.
Yes,
I
into the Kenyan citizen who is out there, who is now buying unga at 240 shillings, 220 shillings. We have not addressed those are the issues.
You know, if we're supposed to address that, then we'll ask where is the Deputy President of this nation?
And you know,
because it's part and parcel of the president.
You know, I keep saying,
they are part and parcel. What do you mean it's not?
He needs to resign.
We elected him alongside President Uhuru.
Let me tell you, Keruga, these people, The deputy president job description in the constitution is in 2 sentences. He is the principal assistant to the president.
Yes, and
his work formula is as designated by the president.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, he is also the chairman of the what do you call it? Interministerial, where all the 47 CEC of finance come together, the controller of budget, the CEC for treasury, and all those things. And they are supposed to control the economic agenda of the county. But for the last 3 years, this government, led by Uhuru Kenyatta, has ensured that the 47 county CEC have never appeared in that forum that the deputy president is supposed to chair. Governors, for the last 3 years, only a few, not more than 5 governors attend those functions, because this government has gagged the responsibility of the deputy president to
perhaps I'll use this analogy.
What I am trying to say is, let us not be blind. And I keep saying here, and I will repeat it. If there are successes of this government, they must be equally shared by His Excellency the President and the Deputy, because they were elected on 1 ticket. And if they have failures in this government, they must equally be shared between the 2 of them. But today we have a case of where accolades are given to Uhuru Kenyatta, and failures of our government are being attributed to William Ruto, which is very wrong, because that is being biased. That is, they cannot talk about the...
That is perhaps because, he is the one who's presenting his bid, and I'll probably use this analogy. That this morning I invited 4 gentlemen. 3 showed up for the show. 1 did not. And therefore I will engage the 3 that are here. And that one that is out, I will not engage. Don't you think that the Deputy President, William Ruto, has decided to take a backseat, has, probably disappeared from God, and therefore it has become so hard for President Uhuru Kenyatta? Let's allow Ruben to respond to that.
Thank you. This will be my take on economics and all this. First of all, I want to state, there was a time in this country where the main campaign agenda was just infrastructure. And I remember Mzee Mwai Kibaki standing and saying, infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And so was Raila on the other end, also saying infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Today we are top 5 in the whole of Africa in terms of infrastructure. And it has been delivered single-handedly by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
What do you mean single-handed?
He didn't have a number 2. It is like in a game of soccer, your defender is not there. So if the ball passes you, it goes in. Yes, he has tried. And then in his trying, he looks around. He has mingled and interacted with all these people. Can these 2 gentlemen tell me that they truly, truly can stand before God and say they know William Ruto more than Uhuru Kenyatta? They'll be lying. Yes. So if Uhuru has been around the both men, fought against one of them so fiercely until the country was almost dividing into 2, and then he comes and sober and say, at the end of the day, the country is bigger than myself. And now he's telling Kenyans, I think that other one will do better. Raila Odinga is the guy. And then you want me to hear other noises? I have my opinion, but that is my position.
And he's, let's give it to the president, proper scrutiny. And such is what happens. I sit here. Today it will be this camera person, tomorrow there will be another one. It is me who will come out and say during my shows on Morning Cafe, this camera person does a better job than this other one. And it becomes hard for anybody who's out there to counter that. Don't you think President Uhuru Kenyatta could have done that bit of due diligence to a level where he could now say, today I give it to the old man, and in future we could easily support my deputy?
Now, and unfortunately, Linda, our laws, our constitution does not allow for that kind of arrangement. Our laws are very clear. Kenyans have to come out and they choose the leader they want.
That's true.
For themselves, the same way they did for Uhuru Kenyatta, our dear president, the same way they did for Mwai Kibaki, because that is when we have our democracy. Linda, this, this trying to twist issues to look like the deputy president has absconded duty should be called out and must be stopped. We have all seen the powers of the deputy president being emasculated to a point where junior officers in government who got their positions courtesy of the support that William Ruto brought to this government. Because you see, if Uhuru Kenyatta had not won the presidency, all these guys, Raila would have won, all these guys would be maybe toiling in their shabas up country somewhere. But now, because William Ruto was part of forming this government, they owe their positions to him. And you see, when Mzee Mwai Kibaki was President Moi's deputy, he was there, things were going down. Why? In this country and all over the world, we follow the president's vision. So, look, when Mzee Kibaki became the president of Kenya, people ask, why was he not doing it when he was the vice president of President Moi?
Yes.
So, you cannot blame His Excellency William Ruto for the failures of the Jubilee government. He is simply not the one who is in charge. And what we are saying here is this. William Samoei Ruto has proven, in fact, these vicious attacks you see being directed to him is because his message resonates with the ordinary Kenyan. It is William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza side that is coming out to give suggestions on how to tame the runaway inflation, the runaway increase of prices in this republic, the runaway increase in fuel prices. All those answers, you can only hear them being discussed by William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza Bridge.
Well, let's not turn this into a campaign ground.
No, it is not a campaign ground. Well. It is reality, Linda. Look, our competitors cannot conclusively address these issues because they are part of government. They are talking about 100 days after elections. Why cannot do it? Why can they do it now? Because they are part of the government. Raila is part of the government.
If Deputy President William Ruto cannot do it, you agree with me that Raila will not be able to do it.
But you see,
let's close that
William
one.
Ruto has been said in government.
Okay, let's drop that one for a moment. And very fast, speak about the mountain. Everyone is salivating about the mountain.
About the mountain, my brother here has tried to demonstrate William Ruto as that guy that has absconded duty. I will refer him to go and carefully read the contents of Executive Order number 1 of 2019.
That's bestowed all the powers to.
Bestowed all the authority to one Fred Matiang'i.
Okay.
And then you cannot come sit here.
And really, there's nothing wrong with that because constitutionally,
I'm just saying, yes. There is a reason why there is a deputy president. Originally and traditionally, because this is not something that is supported by our constitution, but it is the tradition that the deputy president or the vice president then was the principal assistant of the president. And tradition would have it that President Uhuru Kenyatta would delegate responsibilities to his deputy. But in the Executive Order number 1 of 2019, those responsibilities were given to Matiang'i, and therefore he then does not have the luxury of standing and accusing his deputy of absconding duty when you have conferred those duties to someone else.
Okay.
Now, coming to the mountain, as it is, it's obvious we continue to be the biggest voter basket for any presidential hope. But I'll tell you the difference between this election. And today we have the Honorable William Ruto as the Kenya Kwanza candidate, and we have the Honorable Raila Odinga as the Azimio candidate.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what is interesting for the mountain in this election. Keruga Dhuku will tell you, for the last 10 years, this mountain did not negotiate for anything in this government. We only voted Uhuru simply because he is one of us.
Yeah.
We did not have a negotiated agreement on what this government is going to do, for there exists none. This government would only do what it deems fit to us, and what it does not like, it did not want. The beauty about the two presidential candidates that we have, that is Raila Odinga and I'm talking
the front runners. Okay, based on the numbers.
The front runners.
Okay.
That is Raila Odinga and William Ruto. These are candidates that do not come from the mountain, one way or the other. If there is one region that is going to benefit from either, it is the central region. Because we now have an opportunity to negotiate with presidential candidates that do not come from our region. And I have asked those guys who are talking about what Uhuru Kenyatta has done for Central Kenya, and I'm asking, we gave ourselves to our constitution in 2010 that public participation is rooted in that particular constitution, that every presidential candidate, just the same way Raila Odinga and Martha Karua and William Ruto and Gachagua are going around asking people what you want us to do, that is what now becomes the benefit of the mountain. We have an opportunity to negotiate what is it that we want. I'll tell you, the problem, Keruga Dhuku, I would walk into any coffee auction here in Nairobi or in Mombasa, have another opportunity to go. Our coffee is selling very well, Keruga. The problem is not the market. The problem is that what is sold at the coffee auction, does it reach the common mwananchi? Those are some of the things that we needed to have negotiated for our region. But now, whether it is in Kenya Kwanza, whether it is in Azimio, this region, that is a vote-rich region, has an opportunity to negotiate for things that matter to them. We no longer have that luxury of this is one of our own, because that narrative of saying we are electing the elect Raila Odinga because he comes from the regional, it is about national interest and what is at stake for the mountain. So as the biggest voter-rich basket, led by my county, Kiambu County, we are very overjoyed that however and whichever way 9th of August ends, this region that is called the Central will be one of the beneficiary of any principles that are put.
And
I will put, just because I am biased on that, I will say that Kenya Kwanza provides the best footing for this region to get what it is rightfully theirs.
Right from independence, they've gotten the better share of the country, well, characterized by the numbers, but above everything, one would choose to overlook the numbers because even the Mlembe nation has so much numbers, but they really have not been able to speak in one voice. And so, does it then mean that Central Kenya is a better negotiator in comparison to the rest of the country, but just, or just what keeps them or gives them that upper hand most of the times?
To start with, I want to go a little bit contrary to what my brother is saying. To me, I would tell my fellow Kenyans that it is time we negotiated for the country and not particularly from where I come from. Because regardless of what I do for my region, the other region, you might end up having more contribution to our country in terms of, say, education, economy, you see, and other things that are really key to us, like security and the rest. So I would just tell Kenyans, it is time as Kenyans we demystify the tribe and our geographical placements where we come from and go for what is right like a country. In the sense that if in our constitution I have a right to own property in Central Kenya, I should be happy when Central Kenya is benefiting. But let us not negotiate based on tribes. We can negotiate based on our economical interests, like a businessman or a scholar. Probably you look at it and you say, this other region do not have enough infrastructure or security for us to have better institutions and the rest, like what happened in Mwingi, I mean in Garissa. Yes, so I'm looking at Kenya and I see us making strides in the right direction. So let us not downplay the bit that as Kenyans today, we are just Kenyans. So let everybody sell his manifesto based on what is best for the whole country. Of course, I also want to acknowledge the problems and challenges of Kenyans are different based on which region. Like the problems in the coast are very different from the problems in northeastern, for instance. Yes. Yeah. So then I want the manifesto to capture the interest for this region, not necessarily because of the numbers, because Kenya is one country where even though people this other time registered more in central, don't be surprised 10 years down the line, probably it is the Rift Valley that will be having more numbers. Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you. I think you have seen in Kenya Kwanza, we've been having these forums whereby we go to Mandera Economic Forum, Garissa Economic Forum, Nyeri was the first one. And the purpose for this, and that is why my brother needs to understand why we are doing it, is to establish what the local community needs, what Kenya Kwanza government is expected by the locals to do for them. So it's good, like he says, that we negotiate for the country, but every region, you may find have different needs from the other region. And you know, the leaders, or the kind of leaders we get, and that's why we are drumming up support for Kenya Kwanza leaders. It's very crucial. Look, let me give you an example. When Mzee Moi Kibaki was our MP and the president, he started a hospital in Othaya, which he intended to be the Othaya Level 6 Teaching and Referral Hospital, and which would benefit the locals as well as the region. Now, unluckily, Mzee exited the presidency and the leadership before it was fully actualized. Those who came after him very wrongly decided to hand over the hospital to be part of Kenyatta Nairobi. You see, Mzee started it intending it to be a level 6 based in Othaya, serving the Othaya people and the entire region. But those after him handed it over to Kenyatta. Now we have all manner of problems because you realize the level 6 hospitals get budgetary allocation directly from the exchequer. This hospital is supposed to get its share from Kenyatta. The board that runs the hospital is at Kenyatta. So it's out of reality with what is happening in the ground. And it have ended up, as much as there are some few positive things, it have ended up detaining patients there and all manner of bad things happening there. And I've been telling these people, a hospital is not about a good building and such. It is about good, quality, accessible services.
And therefore, Nyeri would have handled this different?
No, even our governor said, we never told anyone to hand over this hospital to Kenyatta. We intended it to be Othaya Level 6 Hospital. And we are still calling for it. In fact, I would expect the Kenya Kwanza government, because I believe, God willing, William Ruto will be forming the next government. I expect that hospital to be granted its own level 6 status and be renamed to Moi Kibaki Teaching and Referral Hospital with its own board based in Othaya. Now,
that's fair. The other day we have to wait. Okay, and let's talk about that. Yes, I know.
As we
dropped that one. I want you to address this matter that is bedeviling both Azimio and I mean, we also have to be fair to the other presidential candidates in as much as there's really not much that is ongoing as pertaining to their sides. Azimio faces tough test on zoning, and this in a huge way will bring the question of sibling rivalry, and there's that test of loyalty. There's that need to make sure that the house is in order so that you go together to the general election with the very support that you had. If there's going to be adjustment, let it be towards the upsides or the positives. Same applies to Kenya Kwanza, the essence of sibling rivalry. This conversation of give us, a 6-piece kind of vote all the way to the ground. Just how fair is it? And if not fair, and if at all is going to, probably be different with those ones that sit in Kenya Kwanza, do you suppose that it will dent the gains that they have made so far in terms of maintaining the aspect of unity?
I think if you ask me, democracy must be allowed to prevail.
Yeah.
He is a candidate in Mathare. Is it Bahati? Is a candidate in Mathare for Jubilee?
Yeah.
I believe there is another candidate for another party that is affiliated to Azimio. Now, if you talk about this zoning, my friend here might be affected because there is a number of candidates in Mathare, and it will not be fair to him because he has offered himself to the people of Mathare. He must be allowed to actually articulate his issues and have a date with the residents of Mathare to elect him. And therefore, I think for me, that's sibling rivalry. And that is why in Kenya Kwanza, we are not stopping other parties from fielding their candidate. You have seen the differences come out in Kiambu County, where I come from. And it is unfortunate, the likes of Moses Kuria and William Kabogo, when they entered into the Kenya Kwanza coalition agreement, they knew for a fact that indeed UDA will have a gubernatorial candidate in Kiambu.
In Kiambu, yeah.
By then, in the nomination, there was Muturi Wanduthi, there was, who else? Django, and there was Wamatangi. UDA eventually nominated Wamatangi. As a party, Rinda, as a UDA party, like my brother is the Secretary General of the River Party. If today River Party has a candidate in the Muru constituency, where I come from, it is the right of the River Party to come and help its candidate on the ground if they so wish.
All right.
And therefore, this issue of sibling rivalry must be there, but we must also call out people who are trying to be crying babies. Because I did not expect Rigathi Gachagua, who is he is the deputy president nominee for Kenya Kwanza, but he comes from a party that is why UDA is part of what forms Kenya Kwanza. And if Rigathi Gachagua chooses to support the UDA candidate in Kiambu, who is Wamatangi, then it is within the right of the UDA fraternity to support their candidates. But what I would say, this zoning thing, it is going to mess up a lot of things. Because let me tell you, if you go to Mathare, my friend Ruben here, I am telling you before God, there are people who will only come out to vote because he is on the ballot.
Okay, well.
There are people who will come to vote because Keriga is on the ballot. The moment you zone him and you tell him this is the strongest candidate for this coalition and you will not vie, so you are creating something that is called, I mean, today in this country that is trying to grow democratically, we must shun away what is called negotiated democracy. Because negotiated democracy takes away the right for Wanjiko to pick the leader that she or he wants.
Well, in Northeastern, negotiated democracy apparently works very well. And so here we are, the zoning conversation. And Mathare, we have seen Bahati crying at some point in time because of this conversation of the zoning aspect. And therefore, we cannot overlook that.
We must tell people of Mathare.
Yes.
When you have a gentleman like this, you must shun away crying babies. You don't cry for certificate.
He just campaigned for you right there. You should be saying Asante, and I hope he sends his invoice. Yes.
In politics, there is no mtoto wa mama.
Yeah. Ni watu wakuje serious hapo.
Ukuje serious kama huyu jamaa, you need for vote.
Mtoto wa mama is not here to speak for himself. He has so much about what he wants to be.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
I will speak for Azimio. I sit in the secretariat of Azimio.
Yeah.
I have read about this, and sometimes it comes as rumors, sometimes it ends up in the printed media, but I can conclusively put out this statement because I sit in the secretariat and there is no zoning in Azimio. What there is if by any chance two brothers can be able to reach up into a consensus, then it's allowed. Yes, so nobody is barring anybody in Azimio from vying. Yes, Bahati will have his rights. My other competitor, Honorable Loch, will have his right. Yeah, but as it is in Azimio, they know very well. Ruben is leading in Mathare. And all
right, let's take a short break and then come back and wind up on this segment. Okay.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs.
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
And music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to.
Secretary General of Labour Party of Kenya, and we also have governance expert Peter Mushendu as we unpack the political scenario in the country. And therefore, with confidence, you say this talk of Azimio is just stories when we have had leaders even in podiums speaking of the question of Azimio, of zoning. And do you suppose that this is probably the most amicable way of addressing the differences within the Azimio One Kenya alliance, knowing very well that this one is the only one that has been registered as a party and therefore is a coalition?
There are reasons why this talk is encouraged within the peers in Azimio, and it is not a witch hunt move. It is something that logic is put on the table, and then you're told, you see, based on this statistic, these are the three scenarios. So you see, this, if scenario number 2 probably is the best to take place, then this is going to affect our coalition in this other manner. But then nobody is actually taking that right from anybody to vie. But again, the leaders who are standing in the podium and pushing this, you see, it's also politics. So they are also using the space within their reach to push for their agenda. But at the secretariat, like the formal communication and what has been resolved is we are encouraging peers within Azimio to negotiate. Yes, for a better result within the ranks of Azimio. But nobody is barring anybody in Azimio to vie.
Okay, does it not disturb you to see Moses Kuria saying that Rigathi Gachagua is not giving us peace, and same applies to the likes of, did Moses say that? And the same applies to the likes of the former governor of Kiambu County, Kafogo, and that they say they are really not happy about what is happening there, and especially when it comes to addressing the interest of the mountain, while Mushendu says that it's only Kenya Kwanza that has, you know, a proper way and set of policies that are good enough to address the needs of the people of the mountain. They say that in Kenya Kwanza, it would have been wise for them to get a sure share in comparison to their Western counterparts, Musalia Mudavadi and former Kenya Party leader, that is Moses Wetangula. You know, they have already negotiated theirs and they have relaxed. They're determined to get the 75%, which we keep asking whether they will.
But you know, Linda, I don't know who says Central Kenya has not negotiated for what they should get in the...
They have?
Of course they have.
What is this?
I've told you here, in our region, people are mostly farmers. So, as Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has been aptly capturing and saying, what our people are interested in is something we call guaranteed minimum return.
You trust in Rigathi Gachagua to make sure that that happens?
Of course we do.
They are sent to power?
Of course we do.
Okay.
I have absolutely no reason not to trust him. The people of Mount Kenya region have absolutely no reason.
But when you have the right inside there, some leaders from the mountain as well, registering their disappointment on what is happening therein. And these are not just leaders that you want to wish away because they enjoy massive support in the central region. What do you do then in such a case?
No, you know, Linda, politics, even in church, there are disagreements at one time or the other. In Kenya Kwanza, we have the party leaders forum, which is the apex body of resolving any differences in our coalition. So I cannot come and discuss our coalition's issues here. If there are any underlying issues, they will do it at their level, and because that avenue is there, it is even in the coalition agreement. What I'm saying is this: the best thing is to come here and outline some of the benefits that Kenya Kwanza will bring, as opposed to our competitors who keeps copying us. Right?
They presented their manifesto, you've not presented
No,
yours.
we have. You know, what I was saying is this, Linda. Look,
I tell you,
we on our side, we have had all these economic forums, because what I'm telling you is this: the only way of knowing what is aching people is going to them. That is why Kenya Kwanza have endeavored to have a conversation with people, with all the sectors in all the 47 counties. And that makes Kenya Kwanza the coalition of choice for Kenyans. This is the coalition that can be able to address and resolve the issues affecting this republic. And you see, Linda, just allow me to say this. You see, what I'm saying is this. You know, Azimio are using all the wrong tactics to win power, and when they keep making promises and they are the government, you know this is a hoax. You see,
Shouldn't you be excited that they're doing the wrong thing so that people are lucky enough?
No, look, they should stop misusing our provincial administration. They should stop misusing our chiefs. They should stop misusing our assistant chiefs.
Are you accusing them of using this very
Of course they are. Everyone knows that is what they are doing.
And those ones that get into power understand their mandate so well. And campaigning is not one of them. Why would they allow for this?
They don't, because now, look,
So you're saying we're bringing incompetent people into different spaces?
Look here, Linda. Look, who employs and sacks the chiefs? The office of the president.
Okay.
The Minister of Interior. The PS Interior. Now, when the PS Interior goes to a TV channel and says, Raila is at 60% in Mount Kenya region, what are they telling us? They are telling us they are biased. They have ordered the chiefs and their assistants to support Azimio. What we have said, we have no problem with the chiefs and assistant chiefs. We know they are good people. We know they are receiving illegal orders. But our people will not be swayed by that. And
let's not expound that further. Make it very brief, so we can shift gears a bit.
First of all, say this. I am very disturbed when senior government officials goes to TV and bring numbers that are unsubstantiated. There is this.
We have seen you have seen Deputy President William Ruto as well speak of
you realize that I am on record for so many times here saying that I do not believe in any opinion poll in this country, because we are yet to set up a mechanism that governs quality and scientific with proper methodology research that we can actually come here and stand and say this is it.
Deputy President William Ruto has told his supporters, please go out there and vote. Don't worry about the vote. We will protect it. Has mentioned about the discrepancies in the register of the IEBC, even before IEBC came out to tell us that we have, I don't know, 100,000 people who are dead, and this has to be cleared. And he is a senior government official, don't you think?
You see, the question would be, did he lie in saying the exact number of voters that had issues in the IEBC list? He did not.
Why would he tell us this number
because
before the IEBC?
Ask yourself.
And before the audit is conducted.
You know, let me tell you, we were going through the audit of the IEBC. It is the IEBC that invited the interested parties. For your information, and he is a member of political parties, the IEBC will keep updating them on what is happening. If you have issues with the register, you raise it. This is the norm. We have seen it happen before elections. Raila raising those issues, Uhuru raising those issues on IEBC. It is part of the preparedness. But what I have an issue is when a whole PS goes to lie on TV that so-and-so is at 64%, it is absurd, especially when you are coming to tell us that you are relying on an NIS poll that is fed off by information from assistant chiefs and chiefs who are the employees of the very government that NIS works for. It is the idiocy of the highest order. Coming to...
That's a bit radical. Let's fight. All right, let's proceed.
Yes, he's talking about the manifesto. The other day I saw a very clear contradiction. When Raila Odinga was in Nyayo Stadium launching their manifesto, he actually repeated thrice that in the Azimio government, education will be free. And he went ahead to put the word absolutely free.
Yes, all the way up.
Yes, all the way up. 2 days ago, Keruga, I don't know whether you watched Mother Karua, talk about how they are going to be balanced in giving bursaries. Then I asked myself, in a system where education is absolutely free, why do you need bursaries?
Okay.
It is a contradiction in their manifesto. I think they did not varnish Mother Karua with enough knowledge on what the manifesto says. And we must say, we must call these things out when we see them. When we launch our manifesto, we are launching our manifesto next week.
Okay.
When we launch it and it will be given to them, they are welcome to interrogate it and say where we are wrong. Right now, their presidential candidate and their deputy running mate are reading different set of manifestos.
Well, that's interesting.
And we must say...
You want to play the devil's advocate?
It is true. And if you want, even this station can play the clip where Mother Karua is talking about being balanced in bursaries.
And we need to understand what a bursary is for exactly.
Where does bursary come in an absolutely free education?
So that means it will be free, books free, everything free and all that. So in totality,
let me tell you, if today Uhuru Kenyatta says that... let me
to respond, yes.
If today Uhuru Kenyatta says that education is free, which is not today, I can tell you, the idea of free education in this country is absurd, it's unfounded, because parents are paying much more than probably they should have not paid. They are paying so much. So if today you say education is free, let me ask you logically, Rinda, you are funding free primary and free secondary education into a certain high school. Why would you want to have a parent go through the nonsense of filling up the bursary forms, all those things to get that money, instead of that government channeling that money directly, because the school is managed by government, the bursary fund is government kitty. Why can't a government streamline that free education? That money that was intended for bursary must now be removed from being a political tool. Let that money be channeled directly to the institutions, that the responsibility of a parent is to send your son or your daughter to school and learn.
All right. As you play the devil's advocate, was that a strategy to probably tell the world that in as much as the manifesto speaks this, there could be some difficulties that come along with us attaining, free education in totality, and therefore that's a polite way of just getting them to accept that this is, and I mean, Mr. Politician will always present the best of manifestos like you said, but then again the question of implementation is what comes in.
I think we are putting the cart before the horse.
Okay.
Give us the mandate, let us be judged by what we deliver, because I can tell you, our opponents, we have their record, and it's stinking. But as I say that, when it comes to this, the so purported contradiction, there wasn't any contradiction, unless my brothers have not been living in Kenya. Yeah, you know, they're smelling money. Maybe they just flew in today.
Okay.
But then, if we are supposed to go, if we are supposed to go for what is real,
right.
You know how the education system works in Kenya. If the government is saying they are going to fund education and it's going to be free and absolutely free, then we are talking about government institution, right? Yes, but then we have other parents who, honestly, it is not about even class. Just because of proximity to the school, they would rather their child goes to a private school. Or because of the notion that this other school is doing better, they would rather their child goes to that school. We are not curtailing our citizens and telling them that all that you have to do is to take all your children to government school. It will be a mess. So we are conscious about of the challenges that we will face, even as we implement this free school and absolutely free. So lack of understanding should not be used to castigate it. If you do not understand this manifesto, we are a very friendly coalition. Reach out to one of us. We'll explain it, because we've gone through it thoroughly. The other issue that has come up is about the plagiarism of the manifesto. I hear my brother here say that we are going to copy. I mean, how absurd can we be? Why can't we just be politicians who are honest enough? If there is anybody who is going to copy any other person's manifesto, it's UDA. But you see, their character is known. It won't surprise us. If you followed the launch of Manifesto at Nyayo Stadium, you will see, even at the closure we stayed, we know they will copy because they are synonymous with poor character.
Someone says that Azimio Manifesto is hugely about the Big Four agenda. And this is a staunch supporter of the Deputy President, William Ruto. They say that, you know, it is funny that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga came in with a handshake, got President Uhuru Kenyatta a little bit distracted on achieving the Big Four agenda, only for him today to borrow the same as his manifesto.
Yes.
This is where I reach and I ask my fellow citizens, what is wrong in Moi taking after the first Kenyatta and saying, nitafuata Nyayo? I mean, we are Kenyans. Whatever is good for the other should be good for him. The other one also. You get it? So if the Big Four agendas were right for the country, do we put it aside because we are coward to acknowledge that this was a move towards the right direction for all citizens? I mean, we need to go for these seats, but let us not forget that Kenya is bigger than all of us as individuals.
You know, we have to move very fast. IEBC.
Yeah, but I want to react to that first before we...
Make it very brief.
Yes, because you see...
Don't campaign so much.
No, I'm not... In fact, I'm not campaigning.
All right, proceed.
But you can see the dishonesty in our Kenyan politics. That the Right Honorable Raila Odinga comes into Jubilee, he just disrupts the operations there with a handshake. He wants the constitution to be changed. They pretend the BBI is for the common mwananchi. They disrupt the Big Four agenda, which everyone knows was a very good thing. Now he has just vindicated what the Deputy President has been saying all along, that the Big Four agenda was the best for this country. It was disrupted by the handshake. Now look, how dishonest can they be that now they want to go back to what they disrupted? No, I mean, Kenyans are going to hand over power to the Deputy President so that he can carry on from where we left. Then, today...
Will it not get you confused where you left? Because it looks like Deputy President William Ruto left pretty much earlier.
No, he never left anywhere. No, power was just taken from him And because he had gotten the money.
So will he come,
Kenyans,
you know, take it up from where the president has left it, or from where?
No, you know, we are communicating where we start very well. Today.
From where he alighted the bus, or?
He never alighted anywhere.
He's still
was
in
just,
the bus?
He was just, you know, his powers were emasculated.
And so where will he pick it up from?
Look, I'm telling you, all these economic forums we are holding. Yeah? Today, the deputy president is holding the education charter. We have a meeting today. He's leading the education charter meeting. And whereby he's outlining his vision. Because, you know, he believes in increasing learning institutions in this country, injecting more funds to the education sector, employing more teachers, you see, strengthening of the training, you know, these vocational training centers. Those are the key areas. And I'm telling you, if and when Kenya Kwanza takes over power in this country, we are going to have radical changes in this country because we want to have more teachers employed by the government. Our captain is leading in that. And in 2 or 3 days...
we agree that we're not going to campaign. We agree
no,
that
I'm not campaigning. I'm just out training.
Okay, what the Kenya Kwanza government is going
will
to
do.
Let's look forward to the manifesto that you say comes in...
Next yeah, but I've told you we are having the education charter meeting today.
Yes, that one. And we'll be having our
then to come to the... So you are talking about the...
IBC, briefly.
Yes. Now, about the IBC.
And I mean, the civil society takes them to court. They say, you have to give us the printed voter register on the actual day.
Yes. Okay. Of course, there are different issues of contention. I've also had our opponents here. You know, they always, whenever they lose, they tend to blame the electoral body.
Okay.
Even now they will lose, and you will still hear them blaming the electoral body.
How do you declare that?
What?
It's
no,
is it not for the people to decide?
Okay, all right. It works like a duck.
It looks exactly. It is a duck.
It's a duck.
Yeah. So what we are saying is this: on our side, and our captain have stated clearly, we expect, of course, a free and fair election. We expect these transfers that have been being done. Voters from Mount Kenya region, they are transferred to Ajia, Garissa, Madera. You see, we expect that to be addressed and rectified. Otherwise, we expect our opponents to let the IEBC do its work, because there is no way they expect to be favored all the way. You know, every time they lose, and they were you remember that chairman who was called Ahmed Isaac? He said, because you know, our opponents at that time, they came out and said Ahmed must go. And he said, fine, I'll go, but you still lose the election. So we don't want them to start playing these gimmicks they are used to. They are going to lose this election fairly, because Kenyans must be given a chance to elect their leaders. And leader, that is why I'm saying, let us give people a fair playing ground. Let us stop using chiefs and their assistants and the provincial administration to campaign for Azimio.
Yes, as we come to a close with the IEBC.
It is expected that the IEBC, and the I is very important in that statement, the independent that means it is expected that they must discharge their responsibilities in accordance with the law. I believe that if our opponents believe that the manual register must be there, then I personally have no problem with it being there or not being there. But whatever IEBC is doing before the election must be to the satisfactory of all the players that are playing in that particular issue. I want to address that issue of relocation of voters. Keruga, an MCA candidate, he's not a Kenya Kwanza MCA candidate, but he's an MCA candidate from our place who finds himself as a registered voter in Northeastern, and he's a candidate. These are the issues we need rectified, because as we gear up towards the 9th of August, the IEBC has the mandate to build confidence amongst those who are going to be participators in that election, that we shall discharge our mandate to the best of our ability and in accordance with our constitution, so that whatever the result that comes out on August 9th, it is a result that is acceptable to everybody. It is a result that can move this nation forward. Because I keep saying that after 9th of August, if you decided to stop doing business and concentrate on election, you will be left stagnated behind. If my friend Ruben here, Keruga, is re-elected, he will go to Nyeri County Assembly, he will go to the National Assembly, and he will continue doing what he is supposed to do. And it doesn't mean that because you supported Ruben and he has been elected, that your life is going to have a dramatic turn. You must be alive to the fact that this is a nation we are trying to change. These are businesses we are trying to rebuild. There is no magic that will happen on August 9th. You will go there, you will vote Ruben. Ruben will choose to work for the people of Mathare or not. That will not be an issue to you. Your issue will be how you will survive, how you provide for your family, how you will provide for your kids, how you will pay their hospital bills, their education. So IEBC has that responsibility to be the fair referee and ensure that this country is not plugged into something all of us do not want to think about. So I would approach to Chebukati to ensure, and I would say some of the things that the IEBC is doing right now, they are showing us that we will have less chaos in August 9. Today, you would remember there were issues with nomination list, county assembly nomination list, national assembly nomination list. Today, in this election, the nomination list will be gazetted before we go to the election. So if today Kenya Kwanza takes all the 60 seats in Kiambu, they will know that everybody in our nomination list for gender probably balance or youth or whatever will be nominated. So with that list gazetted, so I say IEBC is doing well. Today, we are doing the pre-qualifications of candidates and ensuring people like Susan Keheka, people like Gatondo North MP and Cleophas Marara and everybody have done 5 years with cases behind their head that they were not supposed to, they were supposed to have resigned and what. We have seen IEBC try to resolve those particular issues. We have seen IEBC now having a tribunal that is dealing with the credibility of your nomination by any particular political party. So therefore, we do not expect some of these things to form the legal jargon of after 9th. So therefore, we pray that IEBC does its work. Let candidates go out there and preach peace. Let them go out there and sell their ideas. I'm certainly sure Ruben, before he is selling Azimio, he is selling himself and what he stands for.
That's true.
There are candidates who are in Azimio and others in Kenya Kwanza who are raised just because you are affiliated to a certain party.
And true to it, and that we have seen.
Yes, being in a party does not qualify you directly.
Even though we have seen others being qualified somehow.
No. It is absurd to think that just because you are in a certain political party, you will not campaign, you will not engage Wanjiku and expect him on 9th to come and vote for you. We
Times
have seen that trend.
Let's close. Times have changed on that one. So much feedback. I'll give you 1 minute to wind up as you speak to your people as well on IEBC and
Thank you, Linda. And my brothers, it's been an enriching debate. I want to say this. First, as Kenyans, let us not be alarmists. We have been here when this country was burning, at least those who are old enough. And, it starts with these stuffs like these court cases. Like he puts it, I've worked with him in PPLC, and IBC is a very friendly institution. Sometimes we don't need to scream and go to court when issues could just be ironed out at a table. So I look at this, NGOs and the rest who are screaming and going to court, and I think they are setting us up And then when we'll be banning, they will still be making their money. Yeah, so I want to encourage Kenyans. There is no alarm, and IBC is a public institution. Kindly, please, before we start making them look biased, could we look into these facts and have them right? Because even as my brother puts it here, that her MCA found her name elsewhere. Even in my party, as a Secretary General, I have had to correct lots of that. So it is not actually biased. It is an error that even if it is you, Kenyan citizen, who was given that mandate, it's something that can just happen. Okay. And then it's corrected, and we move together as a team.
Right.
Having said that,
very brief to the point.
Wadhi wa Mathare, huyu Ruben hapa.
All right.
We know how we do our stuff in Mathare. I pray na naomba tuzidi kutembea pamoja, hakuna mtu mmoja anaweza kivyake. And so far I think God is on our side and we are having it, so keep on praying and look for those other votes so that Mathare will be the best place Kenya will ever have.
Amazing. We have to close. I know you want to tell me watu wachinga wanakujua for 5 years.
They know me, but you see, to be fair to me, huyu mtu ya Azimio unampendelea.
30 seconds.
Yeah, thank you very much. Personally, I want to urge our people to remain focused, to remain firm. William Ruto is our presidential candidate. Let's come out in big numbers and bring a Kenya Kwanza government, and definitely they will see the change. We have been preaching about the bottom-up economic model. It is the best for this country. It's going to address the fuel hikings we have, the food prices we have, which of course our opponents, you know, they are not concerned about.
We have to close.
And finally, my condolences to my colleague. I have my colleague called Honorable Kawajiko from Muiga Ward in Nyeri, who unfortunately lost his wife yesterday. So my word of pole, and may God give them the fortitude to bear this untimely news and demise of the wife.
Pole kwao. Pole kwao. The only messages I'll pick this morning very fast are those ones that speak about the three gentlemen on set. Interestingly, for the very first time we get these messages. And so Nora Ngonjeri says, kudos to my MCA, Kiruga Duku Chinga. You have done us proud.
Thank you.
And on this other side, Hilary Tigoingu Susei says, the man Ruben has leadership qualities. He deserves the seat somehow. Well, there's someone who says, Mushendu, this guy Mushendu is a typical USA. I think he wanted to say UDA. He's a typical UDA supporter. And so much. Rogers Wakoli, thank you so much for the great feedback, and so much more coming from you people, but time would not allow us to go through this, and therefore I have to release the gentleman as we get to the people on ground that is on the baraza in a bit. And thank you so much, Peter Mushendi, governance expert, for creating time to be with us and for your submissions. Engineer Ruben Liala, Secretary General of Labour Party of Kenya, as well as Member of Parliament